Our soul is putting us deliberately and intentionally into adversity, struggles, pain. So we rely more on this inner wisdom, on this inner guidance. No matter if it's money or somebody leaving us or a difficult life situation that we find ourselves in, when we live life from the mind and we try to control everything, to get the perfect job, to make that money in this way, or to be that partner in order to keep the relationship or marriage, whatever it is, when the mind becomes our master, we have a temporary feeling of control. But sooner or later, that way of living will show its lack, because the mind is not made to plan our life. It's not meant to say, okay, I'm going to just do this university, this education, and I'm going to be fine. And I'm going to just behave like that in the relationship, or I'm going to have that marriage and that family at that age, and that's it. We know that things are not going that way. They always change. Life is a constant changing, and our mind doesn't get that. So at some point we all hit that place where we just don't know anymore what to do. We lack the financial abundance, we are heartbroken, or we fall out of love, or we are all the time in conflict with someone or something. It just doesn't go our way anymore. And that is when we feel scared, because we thought that we have it under control. We thought that what we learned from childhood on, to rely on that mind, to use it as our master, we thought we were going to be fine. We thought if we just do it that way, we're going to be okay. And then suddenly we're not. And that system we followed, that system of relying on the mind, doesn't work anymore. And it gets scared, because when we see that we cannot control it anymore, we find ourselves in that cliff, in that stressful state of, what am I supposed to do now? Everything is taken from me. All of what I worked for, all of what I put my effort in, it seems to die. It seems to crumble. And I don't know where I stand anymore. You know that point, don't you? And our soul deliberately and intentionally puts us into that position, because that is when we start depending on that deeper wisdom. Something that nobody, no external force can give us. And when we rely on that part, that is when life becomes the mystery and adventure and abundant in many ways. That's when it becomes that experience that our soul truly wanted. So our soul deliberately puts us into that state of hopelessness. So we would rely on it. We would become more courageous and say, okay, how does my soul see this situation? I rely on that instinct, on that very, not primal, but deep, ancient wisdom inside of me. I rely on it. Actually, I need it right now. There is no other way for me to live other than rely on that inner wisdom, that inner whisper. And that is when everything changes. And one great way to connect with that is when we are scared about money, when we're heartbroken, when we face any adversity, ask a question. Ask the question, how does my soul see that situation? Not my mind. I know my mind is terrified. I know my mind is terrified about losing money, about not spending too much, about being scared of how to, make that all work. If I should quit the job or not, or do something else, or about never being loved again, or finding a partner, or making family. I know my mind is there. I know it's scared about that. But how does that fearless part inside of me see it? Because that is interesting. There's an untouched part inside of us, the soul, that is very fearless, deeply courageous. Why is it fearless and courageous? It has a broader and greater knowing of how this life, this existence truly works. It knows how we are supported in miraculous ways. It knows that everything will turn out fine if you just follow its whisper. It has this deep assurance from existence itself that it's gonna be fine. The mind doesn't know of that security system of the existence. It has no clue, but the soul knows. And when we want to adopt the perspective of our soul, when we ask this question, how does my soul see that situation? And we open our mind to it, we feel beneath the fear into how it sees it, and we actually adopt it, we embody that view. Then we join a very mystic force. We join a very mystic energy and a guidance. We join a very mystic guidance inside of us. And for the usual mind, for the usual people, it seems like crazy. But for us, it's the only way to turn. When shit hits the fan and we have no more option than listening to that which is in our heart, despite the fear, the existential fear of losing money or not being loved or not being liked, when we have no other choice, when we tried so hard to keep it all together, but then it breaks anyways. That is when we find the courage to say, all right, now I'm gonna make the soul to my master, the heart, and no more the mind. The mind will just be the servant. And I'm gonna discipline my mind to not go into all these worries and fears. I'm gonna discipline it to be present, because in the presence we find and hear the voice of our soul. And I am going to stay present, and I'm going to follow in that moment the perspective and the path of action that feels most exciting. Again, I'm going to follow in the present moment the action or point of view perspective that feels most exciting. I follow my excitement in that moment, trusting that that will lead me to the things I require, whether it is money or relationships or the freedom that I desire. It is a blind trust in it. But we mostly, as human beings, only start trusting blindly when shit really hits the fan. When we still see that there is some way of, having the security and we can plan it and we kind of have the means to make ourselves comfortable and secure, we still choose that way. But at some point, life will push us into that spiritual corner of saying, all right, here you are. I'm taking you away that security, that false, illusionary security. So you are going to join your soul. And that is a moment, of transformation. And transformation is rarely easy. It feels terrifying, painful, scary. But that is the point when we say, all right, I have no more, I don't have another choice. I literally don't have another choice. I need to follow my soul now. I need to feel my soul. And I do that best by being present and following my excitement, my joy beneath the fear. What feels really good to me? Can I just trust it? When my mind says, no, you run out of money, you cannot take that trip or do that thing or pay for this, but your soul clearly knocks at your door and says, hey, this is the thing to do. And you have no more choice than just doing what really feels right in that moment, following your soul. And then adopting the perspective of your soul, you might feel, hey, the soul is not scared of me not being abundant. The soul is not scared of me losing my entire freedom because I'm running out of money. It knows that if I am free now and choosing the soul path, for me, it will be taken care of. Life is going to take care of me. I'm going to meet the right people at the right time. I'm going to make the right amount of money to keep going on those things that truly excite me. There is no way I feel excited for something without the universe giving me assurance that this is actually possible to follow. There wouldn't be a desire in my heart if there is not the possibility to follow it right now. You understand? So being present and feeling what's required now in terms of what's exciting to you right now. Where can you keep going the path of least resistance? When you follow that, everything needs and must be given to you at the right time. You might lose a relationship, but that's meant for you to achieve your best life. You might run out of money, but at the right time you're gonna have the right means to keep going or to really fulfill your soul's mission, and to trust that blindly. That is what for me religion meant to say with Jesus Christ. And I'm not about religion per se, but the symbol of the cross is meaning exactly that. The human side, the mind, the ego, the thing that's about security and fear, that is what we nail at the cross. That's what Jesus nailed at the cross in order to serve fully God. And God is within us. The kingdom of heaven is within us. So we surrender our ego, our fear, in order to follow the soul. When the when the soul feels abundant, when the soul calls us forth for something, but we are very scared about leaving somebody or being left or not having the money or whatever it is, we need to nail that fear on the cross. We need to choose to go the path of our soul, even though we are very scared, even though we might be worried, even though there's a part of us that does not trust it at all. And that part will always be there. Trust doesn't mean that suddenly we are fearless and we don't have that lower part of our personality, because there's a part in our personality that is always about surviving, protecting us, and that part can serve something very good, in terms of jumping off a cliff or something. You want that part to protect you. But when it's about your life, and when that part has the louder voice than your soul, then we run danger of the rich, people who do not make it into the kingdom of heaven, as it says in the Bible. We run the danger of being so worldly concerned that we miss heaven on earth. Jesus said, "Be in this world, but not from this world." When we are so scared and worried about it all, we are very much from this world. We're from it, we're deeply involved with it and scared, and we miss heaven. So be in this earth, but not from this earth. That is a very different place to live, a very fearless place to live. A part of you is in heaven, that is soul. The soul knows everything is good, everything is abundant, everything is beautiful. You can follow your excitement. You can trust that voice inside of you that is telling you to either quit that job or take that trip or read that book or go deeper into that research of it. You can trust that voice. Surrender the other part that is very scared and see how life is going to catch you in it. And that is my message for you today. So whatever you're facing, there's an opportunity to see even more clearly what your soul wants from you. The contrast of pain is exactly what creates it. When everything is so dark, you see way more the light. When everything is very dark, you see exactly where the light of your soul is shining, where it wants to push you, where it wants to pull you. It gets very clear suddenly. So the darkness has its purpose. Your struggle right now is just a purpose, so you see clearly where your soul wants to head. Now it is your choice to surrender the fear and join your soul on its mission. And that is where you can no longer bypass spirituality. You cannot just say, yeah, I'm spiritual, I'm meditating, I'm there. But then when the soul or God calls you on an adventure, you resign. You're like, I'm just going to keep on meditating at home and, do the breath work and the yoga and stuff. But I am, I just don't trust it to actually follow it. But let me keep on praying every night before sleep. That is spiritual bypassing. That has nothing to do with being courageous. That has nothing to do with following the voice of God, following the voice of your soul. That is cheating to some degree. And when we cheat, life will bring up more and more painful situations to wake us up, to say, hey, look, you were never meant to really be safe in this world. You were never really meant to have this false illusion of safety, that you can acquire money and, keep it and, nothing is going to happen. You were not meant for that. You were meant for adventure. You were meant for learning, for going out there, for following your heart's desire. That's why you came here, because guess what? You are going to die anyway. Well, the earthly part of you is going to die anyway. The soul never dies, but your earthly part is going to die. So either you wait until death to give it up, or you surrender part of it right now so it can just serve you here but not overtake your life. And when that happens, then you are not in this world. You're not from this world, but in this world. You are not from this world, but in this world, as Jesus said. And that is a high degree of freedom. But freedom always requires to let go of the attachment and the fear. So join the perspective of your soul. Make a prayer to ask, what does your soul want from you? Where is it heading? How can I trust more and more and more? And actually trusting means, how can I follow its calling more often without being scared of all the losses that I talked about now? And that is about the episode today. Also, I am always trying to find courage. I guess everybody out there does. Let me know in the comments or on Instagram how your journey is going, how you keep up with it, your biggest struggles. And yeah, I hope this inspired you, and I hear you in the next episode.